Narrative boxes describe Louis as a popular, successful star on track for top accolades.
Tragic news reports Louis died from a falling spotlight during an award ceremony before reincarnating. Reincarnation reveals Louis is now Shamo, the internet's most despised idol. Attempting to rebuild his career, he realizes the world's perception of him has changed. Shamo experiences a series of unsettling and mysterious encounters in a dark apartment. Fear and anxiety take hold of Shamo as he sweats under pressure. Narrative boxes reveal the shocking discovery that Louis' former nemesis Gujang Wen likely loved him.
A grieving Gujang Wen sheds tears of deep sorrow for the fallen star.
Gujang Wen stands alone before Louis' funeral portrait, lost in his mourning.
Gujang Wen declares a desperate vow to find a way to restore what was lost.
Shamo is horrified to learn Gujang Wen plans to revive Louis by killing him. A cosmic connection is established between the feng shui successor and his resurrected muse. The scene transitions as production details for the story are formally introduced. In a flashback, Louis cheerfully introduces himself to Gujang Wen during their first meeting.
Gujang Wen maintains a cold, silent distance as he observes Louis from afar.
Louis is left bewildered when Gujang Wen abruptly walks away without saying a word. Reporters and onlookers scramble to capture the strange tension between the two famous actors. Gujang Wen flees the red carpet in a hurry, leaving the media and Louis confused. During filming, Louis portrays a dying police officer apologizing to his captain for being foolish. Louis delivers a heart-wrenching final line about osmanthus wine before the director calls for a pet. The film crew enthusiastically applauds Louis' exceptional performance as he thanks everyone for their hard work. The director praises Louis' rapid improvement while Louis confirms his dedicated identity as an actor. Louis reflects on his initial confidence and the supposed lack of setbacks in his promising career. A moment of unease passes over Louis' face as media pressures begin to mount. Reporters press Louis for his thoughts on online comparisons ranking Gujang Wen's acting above his. Louis' manager ends the interview early while fans clamor for details on his rivalry with Gu. Online gossip headlines report Louis' consistent defeat in popularity and project rankings against Gujang Wen. Netizens speculate that Gujang Wen is intentionally sabotaging Louis by clashing with his scheduled releases. Interviewed fans initially name Louis as their favorite celebrity before the conversation shifts to his rival. Enthusiastic fans admit they are abandoning Louis' fandom to join the growing cult of Gujang Wen. A famous director publicly labels Louis as inferior to the prodigy Gujang Wen on social media. Louis furiously denies any personal connection to the snake Gujang Wen despite their public red carpet encounter. Narrations recount Louis' naive belief that his rival was merely a trivial hurdle on his path. During an interview, Louis politely discusses his passion for roles while dreading the inevitable mention of Gu. A quirky interviewer asks Louis if he considers Gujang Wen his primary rival for the top award. Louis diplomatically states that many talented actors are vying for the Golden Crane Award, not just one. The host commends Louis' open-mindedness after he emphasizes the value of the struggle for one's dreams. The interviewer reveals Gujang Wen was previously asked the same question regarding his competition with Louis. Louis watches the broadcast in tense silence, waiting for his rival's reaction on the screen. Gujang Wen dismisses Louis as a rival, causing Louis to metaphorically shudder from the public insult.
Louis aggressively chops watermelons while insisting to his concerned assistant that he is perfectly calm.
The manager arrives with distressing news just as Louis continues his frantic fruit-slaying session. Louis learns a director replaced him with Gujang Wen, leaving his award ambitions in jeopardy. Muga orders his team to contact a terrifyingly strict director to secure a new, difficult project. Louis's inner resolve hardens as he decides to accept a challenging new drama role. Driven by a growing obsession, Louis repeatedly mutters Gujang Wen's name while wielding a cleaver. Louis seethes with rage, determined to make the arrogant younger actor pay for his disrespect. He vows to humiliate Gujang Wen with a superior performance at the upcoming awards gala. At the Golden Crane Awards, director Liang and Muga try to ease Louis' pre-show nerves. An assistant rushes in to report that Gujang Wen is surprisingly absent from the prestigious event. Narrative boxes explain that his rival renounced his nomination for the upcoming acting award ceremony. Louis reacts with pure shock after hearing the news of his rival's sudden withdrawal. Louis acknowledges his increased winning chances before being announced as the Best Actor Award winner. Louis reflects on his lack of excitement while an honored guest is called to stage. Louis thanks his senior just as an overhead lighting fixture begins to crack and fall. The heavy spotlight plummeting from the ceiling leaves a gruesome, bloody scene on the stage. Louis' drifting soul laments his life of fame-seeking before fading into an endless, empty nothingness. A mysterious system selects Louis for rebirth, granting him a second chance through a codex. Louis wakes up in darkness while medical staff outside a room prepare for a patient. A doctor declares the patient dead before the body suddenly lunges forward to grab him. The medical staff panics as the patient revived, demanding a defibrillator to stabilize his life. 3 years after his death, Louis realizes he has miraculously been reborn in another's body. He examines his new identity, noting his handsome appearance and weak physique as he researches himself.
Headlines reveal his new identity is Shamo, an idol currently embroiled in a DUI scandal.
The young man stares at his phone in horror as he discovers his terrible public reputation.
Protesters demand Shamo's removal from the industry, labeling him a talentless and disrespectful celebrity cancer.
Shamo realizes the internet has completely canceled him following the reports of his reckless behavior.
He tosses his phone aside, deciding to be grateful for his survival despite the public outrage.
Shamo resolves to work hard to overcome his current scandals and rebuild his life.
Nurses pity the patient at bed 5 because no one has visited him since his resuscitation.
Shamo is horrified to hear that the police plan to imprison him for 2 months. The nurses believe he deserves jail time, leaving him shocked by his lack of legal knowledge.
He overhears a scandalous rumor about his former self being a stalker fan of Gujang Wen.
The young man is left speechless by the shocking behavior of the body's previous owner. A nurse startles Shamo, informing him it is time for his medication behind the door.
The scene abruptly cuts to chaos as medical staff report that the patient has fainted.
In a memory, a younger Gujang Wen coldly dismisses Louis as being his acting rival. Despite his cold words, the young actor appears flustered with a faint blush on his face.
A video report explains Shamo's history as an idol known for bizarre styling and makeup.
The narrator describes Shamo's rise to fame through controversy, sharp insults, and disrespecting his seniors.
Hidden narrations reveal that Shamo was secretly an extremely obsessed stalker of his rival actor.
Hiding under a blanket, Shamo considers dying again just to escape into a better body.
An entertainment headline recounts the night Shamo was arrested after sneaking into Gus' bed.
Overwhelmed with strange admiration, the young man weeps over the report of Gus's defensive kick.
An artistic title card announces that he hasn't faded away as the story shifts focus.
Shamo requests a discharge but is immediately stunned by the exorbitant cost of his treatment. Sweat beads on his face as he notices protesters calling for his boycott outside the building. He stands alone in the street, facing a line of protesters demanding he leave show business.
The mob identifies him and begins a frantic chase, hurling insults as he flees for safety.
Shamo narrowly escapes in a taxi, leaving the angry group shouting and cursing behind him.
The taxi driver expresses confusion over the chase while Shamo tries to catch his breath.
He reflects on his severe predicament as the driver asks him for his desired travel destination.
The green taxi speeds through the city streets, heading toward a quiet and somber location.
Shamo arrives at a cemetery and asks an elderly woman for help finding grave 395.
The young man stands before the grand gravestone of Louis, which is covered in flowers.
Shamo notes that the flowers are recent, though his death anniversary is still months away.
He scrolls through his phone, noticing that Gujang Wen hasn't posted online in half a year. He realizes that a world-class actor like Gujang Wen never actually viewed him as a rival.
The sound of approaching footsteps causes Shamo to look back from the grave in surprise.
A man carrying a bouquet of white flowers walks toward the grave of the fallen star.
Shamo hides behind a cemetery pillar, wondering if the man is looking for his grave.
He notes the blue flowers are identical to previous visits and spots a nearby trophy model.
The young man cautiously peeks around the stone structure with a look of intense concentration. He recognizes Gujang Wen kneeling solemnly before the grave as blue petals drift through the air.
An internal monologue asks if the ritual failed while a metallic ball rests on the grave.
Gujang Wen stares ahead with cold blue eyes, his face framed by falling leaves and shadow.
At a mansion, an elder asks Gujang Wen if he attempted to summon the soul again. The grandfather tells him he can overlook past actions, but insists he must finally give up. He warns the actor that continued failure will prevent him from providing any further family protection.
Gujang Wen promises to comply before locking the metallic summoning orb inside a small storage case.
The actor stands in a dark storage room filled with boxes, holding a photograph of Louis.
A thought bubble reveals his unwavering determination to discover an alternative method for his desperate goal.
He vows to succeed at any cost while holding his hand up to the dim light. A narrative caption explains that a shipping address on a phone leads to Shamo's residence.
Shamo enters the building via a fingerprint lock and discovers manager Kian smoking on the couch.
Manager Kian hurls documents at the young man, shouting that he has immense nerve appearing there.
The manager stands and berates Shamo for speeding and driving while under the influence again.
He warns of impending jail time and pay docking while Shamo notices a black thread.
A system congratulates the host on Rebirth, mentioning a price of 2 tolls and a spirit.
The voice explains the first toll involves completing a causality thread of the original host's wishes.
It identifies a black thread as a karmic link connecting the manager's finger to Shamo's heart.
The system wishes him luck, leaving Shamo panicked about how to fulfill the mysterious requirements.
Memories show manager Kian praising Shamo's individuality and promising to make him a superstar rookie.
In the present, the manager expresses disgust, asking why he got involved with such unlucky trash.
Qian announces the company is terminating the contract and demanding a massive penalty for the breach.
He claims to be the only person helping, though Shamo recalls Qian never visited the hospital.
The manager orders him to stay out of trouble before exiting the room with a curse.
An isolated thought bubble notes that at least the young man is alive after the ordeal.
Shamo stands silently in the room as the glowing rad causality thread trails behind him.
He decides to investigate Qi and Dong Lai, suspecting the manager is hiding many dark corporate secrets.
Shamo reviews official complaints and contract violation fees totaling several million in various legal debts.
He sits in despair, realizing the original owner had no money and significant credit card debt.
The young man wonders where the earnings went since the luxury villa and yacht were rented.
A text message from the landlord reveals rent is due tomorrow at 40,000 yuan monthly.
After moving, the landlady warns him about rent payments as he enters a small, rundown apartment.
He reflects on the system's instructions regarding the causality thread and the second, unknown price.
The system reveals the second toll is completing the 100 Demon Codex, leaving Shamo baffled.
He sighs, noting the swallow spirit's presence is the only thing proving he is not having hallucinations.
Shamo pokes the small yellow bird, questioning if it is a manifestation that requires special feed.
He sits in a dilapidated room, noting he paid his debts but now lives in poverty. The young man is metaphorically struck by an arrow upon seeing his remaining balance of 5 yuan.
He attempts to find labor work but is rejected for his physique before applying as a dishwasher.
A woman asks for his identification, and the young man nervously presents his official Shamo ID.
Recognition sparks an immediate chase as bystanders shout for others not to let the celebrity escape.
People label him a public enemy and demand interviews while he flees the scene in a panic.
He hides in an alleyway, hoping to eat a steamed bun before hearing Gujang Wen's name.
Shamo looks up at a massive advertisement featuring the famous actor endorsing a luxury watch brand.
The billboard highlights Gujang Wen's status as a top actor with powerful backing and exclusive endorsement deals.
Shamo reflects on how public dislike persists regardless of the context surrounding a person's current actions.
He sits on a ledge in the shadows, clutching his small bird companion while looking visibly startled.
Shamo cries because the bird ate his dinner, demanding it return the bun immediately.
The bird spits out a blue book on celestial teachings, leaving Shamo utterly baffled.
Shamo seeks a job with no requirements, eventually deciding to become a con artist.
Disguised in sunglasses, Shamo advertises fortune-telling services with a full refund if inaccurate.
Passers-by mock the fortune teller, but he worries they would attack if they recognized him.
Shamo offers discounts to flirtatious women before a tattooed man requests a wealth reading.
He is horrified to see a ghostly child chained to the man in broad daylight, questioning the lack of public concern.
The young man sits frozen as he stares at the tattooed customer and his prisoner. A promotional banner displays various fictional story titles and covers currently playing at the cinema.
An artistic title card featuring a central male figure officially introduces the story's main title.
The tattooed man sits impatiently, demanding to know how his wealth will fare very soon.
Shamo nervously agrees to read the man's features while the ghost girl stares blankly.
Stiff with fear, he questions if the girl is human while the bird assists him. While the bird reads the book's description of a violent man, Shamo falsely promises great fortune. He continues lying about the man's luck and vitality, much to the customer's skeptical surprise. Shamo predicts a bright future, secretly noting the invisible book describes the man's life as miserable.
The customer demands a direct answer about becoming rich, making Shamo desperate to escape quickly.
Shamo snaps his fan shut and identifies a spiritual presence he calls a Sudana. He claims the Sudana guarantees wealth, though the man's expression remains incredibly tense and dark.
Shamo privately admits the girl is a ghost and definitely not a wealth-bringing spirit.
After a tense silence, the customer smiles and thanks the master for his favorable guidance. The man departs, but Shamo is left shaking under a terrifying, dark spiritual presence. Relieved to be alone, he hopes to never encounter the man who lives nearby again. He reflects on his newfound supernatural awareness, noting the book reveals fortunes on its own. Shamo opens the celestial manual to check the actual fortune of his previous customer.
The book warns of inevitable failure and great misfortune for the man he just fooled.
He justifies the scam by noting the man's bad character and his own con artist status.
Planning a celebratory dinner, he suddenly feels a chill as the ghost girl clings on.
The girl's face appears over his shoulder as she prepares to speak to him directly.
Shamo loses his balance and screams in absolute terror at the ghost girl's presence. Looking around in a panic, he notices the ghostly child has suddenly vanished into thin air. Pedestrians record the scene, calling Shamo a crazy person as he sprawls on the pavement.
Witnesses mock the fortune teller's mental state while he continues to flail in the street.
Darkness falls over the city as the scene shifts toward a door marked with number 404. Shamo happily enjoys a steaming hot pot dinner alone in his small, quiet apartment. He closes his eyes in bliss, savoring every bite of the food he just earned.
News of a local kidnapping causes him to drop his meal in a sudden moment of shock.
He screams as he discovers the ghostly child is now sitting silently under his dining table. Hiding under a blanket, he scolds the ghost for invading his personal space and moral boundaries. A dark thought bubble echoes a desperate plea for someone to save her from her fate.
The ghost girl repeats her request on the bed, leaving Shamo confused and deeply startled.
He realizes the kidnapper lives in apartment 504 and the girl's physical body might still live. The yellow bird tugs on the red chain as Shamo watches the spiritual manifestation closely.
A spectral hand grips the heavy red chain, creating a loud metallic clinging sound.
Fragmented memories of a family and the kidnappers swirl around a door labeled number 504.
He sees a vision of the girl bound and gagged, realizing she is currently in danger.
The tattooed man films himself threatening the girl, vowing to make her father suffer for everything.
Shamo understands the ghost girl is actually a projection of the kidnapped victim held upstairs.
An intense outburst of anger precedes a close-up of a sharp, gleaming knife blade.
The kidnapper smiles maliciously while loud banging sounds echo through the room. Shamo bangs on the door, shouting for it to open while regretting his earlier actions.
A click from the door handle startles Shamo, signaling that someone is finally arriving. The door creaks open as the kidnapper peers out, asking who has come to his residence.
Shamo snaps his fan shut, claiming the fortune he provided earlier was only half complete.
Standing outside the door, Shamo warns that misfortune will immediately follow any newly acquired wealth.
Shamo smiles and explains that he must fulfill his duty to avoid being an awful person.
The kidnapper asks how Shamo found his home, but the master attributes it to destiny.
Shamo repeats his intent to deliver the second half of the man's fortune through the door.
A sharp sound echoes as Shamo forcefully smacks his closed fan into his open palm.
Shamo confirms the man will successfully acquire wealth, but warns there is a serious catch.
He continues his ominous reading, preparing to reveal the terrible price that must be paid subsequently.
Shamo warns of immediate misfortune as the kidnapper repeats the word nervously from the darkness.
Shamo wonders if his target believes the lie while the kidnapper remains silent and motionless. The man invites the master inside, noting that the hallway is inconvenient for such a conversation.
The door slams shut, and Shamo realizes he must act quickly to save the girl.
Shamo continues his fake reading, mentally noting that the girl is trapped in the bathroom. The kidnapper draws a knife, praising the master for being a genius with genuine divine skills.
The man's tone shifts as he suggests that a divine being should foresee his current actions.
A dark presence looms as the kidnapper implies that Shamo already knows his murderous intent.
Shamo regrets his lack of understanding regarding the unpredictable logic of extremely superstitious individuals.
Shamo pleads for a misunderstanding, but the kidnapper lunges forward and smashes a wooden table. A loud clang echoes as Shamo blocks the blade using a hidden metal pot lid. Shamo grits his teeth in pain, thankful for the foresight to hide protection under his clothes. He spots the red causality thread binding the ghost child wrapped around the kidnapper's hand.
Shamo ponders the consequences of an ordinary human entangling with the mystical red causality thread.
The kidnapper screams in rage, repeatedly striking the metal lid with his large kitchen knife.
Seizing the opportunity, Shamo uses the red chain to ensnare the kidnapper during the struggle. A spiritual flashback reveals the kidnapper being rejected for a loan and physically assaulted by debt collectors.
Enraged by the betrayal, the man vows to make his hometown acquaintance pay for refusing him.
In a dark vision, the man mumbles his plan to kill the daughter as ultimate payback.
Shamo smashes a bottle over the man's head, breathless with relief after surviving the encounter.
As Shamo plans to call for help, a strange clown-faced spirit emerges from the unconscious man. The clown spirit escapes through the window, dragging a red chain as Shamo watches helplessly.
Shamo shouts for the spirit to release the girl's soul before it vanishes into the night.
He realizes the girl's soul was snatched, though her physical body remains safely in the bathroom. The kidnapper groans as he begins to regain consciousness, prompting a shocked reaction from Shamo.
Shamo comically smashes another bottle on the man's head to ensure he stays down.
News reports detail the successful rescue mission and the arrest of the suspect following a sighting.
A news anchor explains that a mysterious hero subdued the kidnapper before the police arrived.
At the police station, officers are stunned after checking the mysterious hero's official identification card.
An officer identifies the man as the disgraced celebrity Shamo, who was involved in previous scandals.
Shamo smiles awkwardly, begging the officers to stop mentioning his infamous past bed climbing incident.
At a luxury estate, a man swims in a pool while poetic lyrics about soulmates appear.
Lu Yi emerges from the water as an MC praises his immense talent in multiple fields. The narrative continues to laud Lu Yi for being both a talented actor and a singer. A butler informs the young master that the patriarch wants him to handle a suspicious location.
Lu Yi reviews information about an entity called the Clown while drying off from his swim.
Senior police officials discuss the high-profile kidnapping case and the victim's mysterious deep state of unconsciousness.
The captain orders his subordinates to consult medical experts to wake the girl as soon as possible. A policeman runs through the hall shouting to the captain about an unbelievable development in the case. A starstruck officer fanboys over Shamo, excitedly listing the celebrity's most notorious internet scandals.
The captain forcefully scolds the fanboy officer, demanding he prioritize his police duties over gossip.
Impressed by his strength, a female officer challenges Shamo to spar and show his skills.
Shamo tries to avoid the spar while the officer boasts about her elite precinct combat skills.
An official voice apologizes for the officer's behavior, asking if they caused Shamo any trouble.
Shamo sits awkwardly in the precinct chair, laughing off the strange interaction with the staff.
The captain prepares the official questioning, and Shamo cooperatively invites him to proceed with inquiries.
The captain questions Yamo's move to a cheaper neighborhood, which Yamo explains as financial necessity.
When asked about his whereabouts at 8 p.m., Shamo says he was eating hot pot alone.
The captain points out CCTV footage showing Shamo frantically banging on the suspect's door later. Shamo claims he heard a child's cry, but the captain finds the hot pot detail suspicious. The captain mentions that street CCTV captured Shamo having contact with the kidnapper earlier today.
Shamo denies being an accomplice, feeling increasingly uneasy about the direction of the captain's questioning.
The captain looms over the investigation, skeptically echoing Yamo's denial to gauge his reaction. The captain reveals that recording evidence shows the suspect made no noise, contradicting Shamo's testimony. The captain sternly declares that the commotion and child's cries Shamo described never actually existed.
The captain demands to know how Shamo truly knew what was happening inside the suspect's apartment.
Sensing a potential trap, Shamo asks the captain if he is being formally suspected of involvement. A heavy silence fills the room as the captain and his subordinates weigh the young man's words. The captain clarifies that the voice recording on Shamo's phone fully proves his innocence and non-involvement.
Shamo is startled to see the captain curiously holding his divine revelation fortune-telling fan.
The captain assures him he won't be arrested for superstition and is eligible for a reward.
Officers praise Shamo's incredible speed in apprehending a kidnapper, but he modestly calls it luck.
Shamo expresses deep concern for the victim, asking the captain about the little girl's current condition.
The captain names the victim Jang Han, explaining she is physically fine but trapped in unconsciousness. Shamo realizes Jang Han's state is likely caused by the spirit that was dragged away earlier. Outside, subordinates ask the captain why Shamo was questioned despite his confirmed innocence. The kidnapper huddles in a jail cell, his mind broken by the horrifying events he witnessed.
The captain observes the prisoner's abnormal behavior, noting that he incessantly repeats a single haunting word.
Shamo studies the celestial book, deciding to use bamboo chopsticks to divine Jang Han's location. Shamo contemplates if the child ghost is actually Jang Han's soul and if divination works.
A bamboo chopstick falls onto the cobblestone street, marking a starting point for Shamo's ritual.
Shamo crouches to inspect the chopstick while pedestrians and a clown walk past in silhouette. A clown handing out flyers is ignored by the indifferent crowd as he performs his lonely task.
The clown appears gloomy as he walks through the night, clutching a stack of magic show flyers.
Shamo pities the clown for working so late and realizes his own task is just as tough.
The clown offers a magic show flyer to Shamo, who examines the colorful advertisement with curiosity.
Shamo wonders if magic shows still exist while the clown offers him a red balloon.
Shamo politely declines the balloon, but the clown's posture becomes suddenly rigid and dark.
Shamo takes the balloon anyway to be kind, noticing its vivid and unsettling blood-red color.
The balloon's surface suddenly twists into a terrifying face with bleeding eyes, horrifying the young man. Shamo screams in absolute terror at the disturbing sight, throwing his hands up in a panic. Fuming, Shamo yells at the person he assumes played a sick and excessive prank on him. Shamo is baffled to find the street completely empty with no sign of the clown anywhere. Looking around in a cold sweat, Shamo wonders where the mysterious clown could have gone so fast.
Shamo decides to put the clown out of his mind and focus on finding Jang Han.
He enters a deep, dark alleyway, questioning his own sanity for hunting souls with bamboo sticks.
Arriving at Huimin Park, Shamo reaches the end of the road and prepares his ritual.
Calling for guidance, Shamo is stunned when the chopsticks miraculously stand up on their own.
Shamo hears children laughing in the dark park and wonders why they are playing so late.
Shamo observes that both the gates and the lock at the entrance are heavily rusted. After entering, Shamo finds the park deserted and wonders where the earlier sounds of children went. He steps on a crinkled paper and discovers a worn missing persons poster from several years ago. Shamo is horrified to find numerous posters for missing children and wonders what happens in this park. High-pitched laughter echoes as Shamo crouches near a wall featuring an unsettling mural of a teddy bear. He asks if a child is behind the wall but finds the walkway empty, leaving him confused. Shivers run down his spine as Shamo realizes he heard no footsteps despite the sudden silence. Shamo notes the park is far too quiet and begins to feel a growing sense of dread.
In a stylized thought, the young man questions if he should just give up and go home.
He spots a figure lying on the ground and shouts out, hoping to find the missing girl. Shamo rushes forward, but the ground suddenly gives way beneath him, causing him to scream in terror. He plummets into a dark pit, shouting as he falls through the air into the unknown. A heavy impact sounds as Shamo hits the bottom of the deep, dark pit. Shamo lies on the ground, panting heavily as he tries to recover his breath after the fall. He looks up from the floor to see a large, spiked trap nearby, narrowly avoiding a gruesome fate. Shamo realized this was a lethal trap and that falling would have meant certain death. Climbing out, he vows to report the dangerous pit and get the person responsible for it arrested.
Shamo approaches the child again, but the figure turns to reveal a horrifying puppet-like face, laughing.
He screams in terror as heavy metal chains suddenly drop from the darkness and coil around him.
Shamo gasps for air as a chain tightens around his neck, pulling him violently upward.
He is hoisted high into the air, struggling against the cold metal as he dangles from the trees.
Above him, a pair of pale, supernatural hands pulls the chain taut over a thick tree branch.
Shamo pleads for help as his feet kick the air, but the chain suddenly snaps.
Gujang Wen appears suddenly and catches the falling Shamo before he can hit the ground.
Holding the blonde man, Gujang Wen looks down and asks if he is all right after the close call.
Shamo stares up in complete shock, recognizing the man holding him as the famous Gujang Wen.
Gujang Wen unceremoniously tosses Shamo onto the ground once the immediate danger has passed.
Confused, Shamo backs away as the black-haired man turns around to survey the dark park. Gujang Wen takes out a small spray bottle and thoroughly sanitizes his hands after touching the other man.
He tells Shamo to please continue, leaving the blonde man staring in absolute wide-eyed bewilderment.
A colorful vision shows the two characters as children pointing happily toward a bright Christmas tree.
Gujang Wen looks up at the trees, noting that the creepy presence has finally faded away.
He asks Shamo if he forgot his warning about what would happen if they met again.
Shamo frantically explains he wasn't stalking him and is only in the park to find someone.
Shamo awkwardly clears his throat and offers a brief thanks for being saved from the chains.
He finds it weird that Gujang Wen is staring at an empty spot where nothing seems to be. Shamo questions what the best actor is doing in a place like this in the middle of the night. Gujang Wen ignores the question, stating that the blonde man has caught the attention of something nearby.
Trembling with fear, Shamo looks into the dark woods and asks whose attention he has caught.
Gujang Wen claims they are the only living beings there and something filthy has targeted the young man.
Shamo tries to laugh it off as an inauspicious joke, waving his hand to dismiss the fear.
He suddenly remembers that he specifically came to this park to hunt for a child ghost.
Gujang Wen stares at him, asserting that Shamo has taken something he should not have.
Shamo is baffled, wondering what he could have possibly taken to cause such a dire situation. He recalls the creepy clown on the street, noting that while the clown offered flyers to many, something was wrong.
Shamo remembers looking back at the clown, realizing that absolutely no one else was taking the flyers.
A haunting realization hits him that no one could see the clown at all except for him.
Shamo screams in absolute panic, realizing he is doomed because he accepted both the flyer and the balloon.
Gujang Wen closes his eyes and sighs, finding the blonde man's loud and frantic behavior extremely annoying.
Shamo pleads for salvation, recognizing that Gujang Wen's ability to see the spirits means he can save him.
Shamo feels a surge of relief when Gujang Wen reveals he is Wei.
Gujang Wen stands casually against a tree, his sword held firmly across his chest. Gujang Wen stares coldly at the blonde man, questioning why he should bother saving him.
Shamo pleads for help as a mysterious red balloon rolls slowly through the grass. Shamo screams in agony as heavy iron chains suddenly wrap around his injured leg.
Shamo desperately reminds the actor that they are at least acquaintances as he falls.
Gujang Wen remains indifferent, recalling when the blonde man tried to spike his drink.
Shamo warns the actor that his death would make the police suspect him of murder. Gujang Wen remains unmoved, stating that everyone must eventually face the consequences of their actions. Shamo is violently dragged away by the chains, screaming that the actor is not human.
Determined to survive, the blonde man frantically reaches for a heavy rock on the ground.
Shamo strikes the thick iron chains with the rock, desperately trying to break himself free.
Shamo struggles against the pull, realizing he is being dragged toward an open sewer. With a final desperate effort, the blonde man succeeds in shattering the metal chain links.
Shamo collapses in exhaustion, having narrowly escaped being pulled into the deep sewer hole.
A terrifying clown suddenly lunges from the sewer hole and grabs the blonde man's leg.
Shamo shouts a curse as the monstrous clown pulls him down into the darkness.
Shamo plummets into the dark abyss, his terrified screams echoing as he falls away. The scene shifts abruptly as the narrative transitions to a different perspective within the story. A title card introduces the current arc, focusing on the clown and a secret vault.
Shamo slowly wakes up in a dark, damp place, groaning from the painful fall.
The blonde man opens his eyes to a distorted, shadowy view of his strange surroundings.
Shamo struggles to stand, noting that his head is spinning from the recent impact.
The blonde man is startled by the sight of numerous creepy dolls hanging from chains.
Shamo looks around the unsettling chamber, questioning the nature of this bizarre and terrifying place.
The blonde man appears pale and shaken as he surveys the dark and moldy vault.
Shamo realizes his leg is still shackled and suspects the clown trapped him here.
The blonde man observes that the only window in the room is completely boarded up.
Shamo hears flowing water and deduces he is trapped inside a secret sewer vault. The blonde man feels a sense of unreality while looking at the eerie, floating blue particles.
Shamo finds no phone signal and decides he must break the chains to escape.
Shamo searches his bag but finds only useless toiletries and a small pair of scissors.
The blonde man spots a heavy iron axe on a shelf and feels a sudden hope.
The bird mascot assists Shamo by pushing the heavy axe off the high wooden shelf.
Shamo gratefully catches the axe, thanking the small bird mascot for its timely assistance.
The blonde man realizes the mascot is actually useful and not just for show. Shamo successfully shatters the chain with the axe, though the shock will remain on.
Shamo reflects on his reincarnation into a world filled with supernatural spirits and danger.
The blonde man resolves to find an exit and look for the missing Zhang Hanhan.
Shamo examines the dismembered puppets, wondering if they hold any clues to his escape.
A sudden, piercing scream erupts from a nearby doll, horrifying the startled blonde man.
Shamo is terrified to realize the puppet is emitting the wretched cry of a child.
Shamo hides as he hears someone humming a creepy tune while entering the next room.
Peering through a crack, Shamo sees the clown in a blood-splattered room with a saw. The clown sings a dark song about his favorite things while preparing his sharp tools.
The clown continues his haunting melody, focusing on a puppet lying on the table before him.
Shamo watches in horror as the clown uses a saw to begin dismantling a puppet.
The clown pulls a terrified Zhang Hanhan from a shelf while singing about his favorite children.
Shamo watches in absolute shock as the clown magically transforms the girl into a doll.
The clown prepares to use his saw on the puppet girl while finishing his haunting song. Shamo realizes the puppets are murdered children and panics about saving Zhang Hanhan, refusing to watch her die. A small clown figure suddenly appears on the blonde man's shoulder with a sharp sound.
The small clown laughs on his shoulder while Zmo looks away in absolute shock.
A monstrous clown with razor-sharp teeth lets out a deafening, terrifying laugh during the confrontation.
The small clown retreats into the darkness, laughing as Shamo watches the creature escape.
Shamo is startled as the clown slams into a nearby object while laughing maniacally.
A large, menacing clown towers over the smaller figure as Shamo hides his face.
Blood splatters across the floor near the blonde man's blue shoes after a violent encounter.
Shamo hears footsteps and a door opening, wondering if the terrifying threat has finally left.
Looking into the room, Shamo fears the clown left to retrieve another deadly tool. Picking up a doll, Shamo wonders how to free the child's soul from its vessel. Deciding to escape first, Shamo carries the doll and an axe toward the door. Shamo enters a corridor, unaware that a creepy clown is peeking from around a corner.
The clown laughs while swinging a saw, causing Shamo to scream in absolute terror.
The clown's saw breaks through the door as it laughs at Shamo's desperate struggle. Shamo is shocked by the clown's strength, fearing he is doomed if he gets hit. Dashing down the hallway, Shamo flees from the clown who wields a massive rusted saw.
Shamo is confused as the branching corridors look identical, making his escape seem impossible.
The clown's humming echoes as its shadow appears, forcing the blonde man to hide quickly.
Armed with a heavy axe, Shamo waits to strike the moment the clown enters.
Shamo finds another room filled with disturbing child drawings and words written in blood.
He reads blood-written curses against children while hearing an unsettling tapping sound from the door.
Shamo raises his axe, preparing to strike as the door creaks open during the talking.
Shamo swings his axe with a powerful strike as a dark figure enters the room. He is shocked to strike wood before a white-gloved hand suddenly grabs him by the throat.
A clown peeks through a hole in the wall, mockingly declaring that it has finally caught him.
The clown crashes through the door and sings a gruesome song while choking the blonde man.
The clown continues its melody, remarking that Shamo looks tastier than the annoying children.
Shamo struggles and chokes as the clown's iron grip tightens painfully around his neck.
A projectile strikes the clown, causing black liquid to spurt out as the monster screams.
A black-shoed man steps forward as the clown retreats and Shamo recovers his breath.
Shamo looks up in shock, recognizing his rescuer as the famous and cold Gujang Wen.
Gujang Wen stands calmly with his sheathed sword, looking down at the injured blonde man. Staring coldly, Gujang Wen observes that the clown's saw was actually quite a sharp weapon. The clown screams in agony while Gujang Wen approaches and Shamo watches from the ground.
Gujang Wen notes the severed hand turning to smoke as Shamo stares in complete bewilderment.
Gujang Wen glances at the marks on Shamo's neck while the blonde man questions the monster.
Gujang Wen remarks he might have arrived sooner if Shamo had not been so loud.
Shamo feels conflicted, resenting Gujang Wen's jerk-like attitude despite being saved by the man. As small clowns mock them, Gujang Wen dismissively accepts Shamo's sarcasm as a proper thanks. A large clown lunges with a saw, but Gujang Wen tells it to go to hell. Shamo frantically warns Gujang Wen to watch out as the clown's saw swings toward him.
Gujang Wen remains completely calm as he prepares his weapon against the clown's metallic saw.
The clown's face reflects shock as it realizes Gujang Wen has easily neutralized its deadly attack.
Gujang Wen stands unmoved while dozens of small clown figures vanish into smoke around him.
Shamo is baffled by the disappearing clones, while Gujang Wen stares down the remaining threats.
Shamo wonders why they target him, striking a clone and watching it vanish into smoke. Overwhelmed by the fake figures, Shamo frantically shouts for the clowns to get off him.
Gujang Wen realizes the illusion as the small clowns vanish, leaving him entirely unbothered by them.
Gujang Wen dismissively holds up 2 fingers, calling the clown's deceptive tactics a very lame trick. The monstrous clown sings a gruesome melody as a dark sword prepares to deliver a final blow.
Gujang Wen and Shamo stand before the dying clown while it continues its hauntingly dark song.
Gujang Wen prepares to unleash a powerful technique, calling forth the power of his karmic flames. Gujang Wen commands the illusions to dispel, causing a massive explosion of black energy that startles Shamo.
Shamo is overwhelmed by the power of the black flames while the dark-haired man remains focused.
Shamo spots a bloodstained mask on the ground, wondering if it belongs to the defeated clown.
A system notification alerts Shamo that key items are nearby, triggering a new mission for him. The system issues a mandatory objective for Shamo to seize the Ghost Core clown mask immediately.
Shamo realizes he must snatch the core from Gujang Wen or face an unsuccessful reincarnation attempt.
The system prompts the blonde man to make an informed decision as his hand reaches out.
Gujang Wen moves to claim the mask, but Shamo frantically prepares to intercept the powerful man.
Shamo distracts Gujang Yuan by showing him the puppet, explaining that the child was just transformed.
Shamo desperately begs Gujang Yuan to save the girl, but the cold man remains initially silent.
Shamo explains that the clown recently stuffed the girl into the puppet and demands Gu's help.
Gujang Yuan explains that the souls here have been merged with the puppets through years of abuse. Gujang Yuan suggests putting the suffering souls out of their misery rather than letting them continue to dissipate.
Shamo protects the puppet, insisting that the child is still alive and was recently at a hospital. Gujang Wen reaches out and successfully extracts the girl's living soul from the ruined fabric of the puppet.
Gujang Wen confirms it is a living soul and asks if she is the person Shamo sought.
Gujang Yuan asks about their relationship, and Shamo nervously claims she is the subject of his bravery.
Gujang Wen stares at the blonde man with a skeptical expression, clearly doubting his vague and nervous explanation.
Gujang Yuan continues to stare intensely as Shamo stands awkwardly with the little ghost girl hiding behind him.
Shamo wonders if the cold man is looking down on him while resenting his arrogant and silent expression.
Shamo points out other puppets that need saving, successfully distracting Gujang Wen so he can make his move.
Shamo successfully grabs the clown mask, and the system confirms he has acquired the legendary Ghost Core.
The system commands Shamo to seal the Ghost Core as dark energy erupts from the bloodstained mask.
Shards of memories reveal the clown's tragic past, showing a childhood filled with rejection and deep-seated misery.
A young boy stands in isolation, lamenting that children are the most annoying and burdensome things in existence.
Flashbacks depict a child suffering through brutal beatings and being forced to survive on scraps in filthy conditions.
The narrative shifts to a violent scene where the child wishes death upon all children who suffer like him.
The young boy watches other children, noting that they do not share his miserable and painful way of life.
Seeing families filled with bliss, the boy screams in denial, refusing to accept that happiness is even possible.
The boy begins ripping a doll to shreds, declaring that childhood should only be defined by such violence.
Standing over the ruined remains of his toy, the boy finally succumbs to his own inner darkness.
A twisted, freckled child grins maniacally, finally finding a dark purpose in his own warped sense of reality. The fully transformed clown declares that everyone deserves to die while wearing a blood-splattered and terrifying grin.
The clown raises his saw, stating that childhood should be defined by torture as he prepares his victims.
The system gives Shamo a final choice to seal the bloodstained clown mask within his magical book.
Shamo acknowledges the clown's unfortunate past but declares that it gives him no right to hurt others.
Shamo commands the troubled spirit to stop causing harm and orders it to be sealed away forever.
The mask is violently pulled into the magical book while Gujang Wen watches the spectacle from a distance.
Gujang Wen asks what the object is as the system confirms the successful sealing of the Ghost Core.
The clown's image appears bound by chains within the 100 Demons Codex as the new questline begins.
Shamo holds the book while the system encourages him to continue to achieve his true reincarnation goal.
Shamo tries to negotiate compensation with Gujang Wen, reminding him that he also worked hard for the win.
Gujang Wen points a gloved finger at Shamo, identifying the legendary 100 Demons Codex in his possession.
Gujang Wen warns that the book is far too powerful for someone like Shamo to wield safely.
Gujang Wen demands the book be handed over while Shamo retreats and desperately tries to play dumb.
Shamo refuses to surrender the book as a sudden violent earthquake begins to tear the room apart.
Gujang Wen grabs Shamo, warning him that the entire ghost domain is on the verge of total collapse.
The black-haired man tells the blonde man to follow him to stay alive, then commands they leave immediately. Emerging into a moonlit park, the blonde man happily observes that they have successfully escaped the domain.
The blonde man notices the portal sealing and remarks that the restrictive chain around his ankle has dissolved.
Gujang Wen explains that domain collapse frees trapped souls, while Shamo reflects on the strange experience.
Shamo asks Han what is wrong, noticing with alarm that her spirit form is becoming transparent.
Kneeling, Gujang Wen warns that the girl's strayed soul is weakening and must be returned home immediately.
Gujang Wen offers to take her back, but the little girl flinches away from him in terror. Shamo notes the girl's fear of the dark-haired man despite her apparent fondness for himself.
Gujang Wen concedes that Shamo must return her, while the girl offers a mocking gesture of disapproval.
Outside a city hospital, a voice warns that the family should prepare for the worst-case scenario.
Doctors explain the girl might become vegetative while her distraught parents desperately plead for any possible help.
The parents offer any amount of money, but the doctor remains helpless until Shamo interrupts.
Shamo knocks on the hospital door and asks if he has found Zhang Hanhan.
A police officer stops a doctor from removing the visitor, identifying Shamo as an authorized person.
Introducing Shamo as the brave citizen, the officer prompts the father to offer his heartfelt gratitude. Shamo asks about Hanhan's condition, learning she is in a shock-induced coma with slim recovery chances.
While the father asks about overseas treatment, Shamo interrupts to claim he can wake the girl.
Standing by the comatose girl, Shamo confidently declares that he has a method to wake her.
Shamo produces a paper talisman and nervously admits his method might not be very scientific.
Fan reviews and comments highlight the visual appeal and popularity of a different webtoon series.
The doctor calls the plan illogical, but the desperate father insists on trying anything to save Hanhan. Shamo prepares as the doctor protests, but the officer suggests allowing the attempt for family solace.
The officer explains the attempt provides comfort to the family, leading the doctor to reluctantly agree. Shamo requests that everyone vacate the room while a small white spirit perches on his shoulder.
Alone, Shamo chants a spiritual incantation as his talisman bursts into a bright, magical flame.
Chanting for the soul to return, Shamo watches as the girl's spirit merges with her body. Outside the room, the group reacts in shock as the lights flicker and a mysterious wind blows.
The ritual concludes and ZMO watches as the little girl slowly opens her eyes.
Lying in her hospital bed, the young girl smiles at her rescuer and softly offers her thanks. The parents embrace their daughter while the doctor stares at the empty space where Shamo stood.
Walking away, Shamo smiles as the parents realize they never got to properly thank him.
The blonde man continues his steady pace away from the hospital grounds under the night sky.
Shamo approaches a parked luxury vehicle where Gujang Wen waits silently against the frame.
Gujang Wen swings the car door open and curtly orders the blonde man to get inside.
The dark-haired man stares stoically ahead, his expression unreadable as the night breeze ruffles his hair.
Gujang Wen suggests finding a more private location to talk, and Shamo agrees to go.
A sleek car drives through city streets at night under the glow of skyscrapers and streetlights.
They arrive at a building where staff bow to Gujang Wen, greeting him as the young Buster. In a high-end club, Shamo critiques his companion's wealth while Gujang Wen offers a seat.
Gujang Wen expresses gratitude for Hanhan's recovery, crediting the talisman and the incantation he provided.
Gujang Wen admits that seeing Shamo's intense concern for the child has changed his perspective.
Shamo critiques the man's sarcastic praise while acknowledging his own questionable reputation in others' eyes.
Gujang Wen apologizes for his previous hostility and offers answers, leaving the blonde man utterly stunned.
Shamo asks Gujang Wen to explain the true nature of the monstrous clown they encountered.
Gujang Wen hands over a file containing old articles regarding a serial murderer known as the Clown.
Shamo reads about a killer who butchered children in sewers and suffered extreme childhood abuse.
Learning the killer was executed years ago, Shamo wonders what they actually fought in the park.
Gujang Wen explains that deceptions are spiritual manifestations of deceased, malevolent people that reason cannot explain.
The dark-haired man clarifies that the clown was the physical manifestation of the deceased murderer's spirit.
Gujang Wen details how deceptions repeat horrific pre-mortem habits such as tormenting children trapped in dolls.
Shamo questions the black-haired man's identity after witnessing his expertise with living spirits.
Gujang Wen identifies himself as an award-winning actor and the influential heir to a conglomerate.
The blonde man finds the combination of corporate heir and top actor to be completely absurd.
Gujang Wen explains he studied Taoism from his grandfather, a disciple of the purity path.
The dark-haired man observes that the blonde man lacks the traits of a traditional Taoist practitioner.
Shamo attempts to play dumb, but Gujang Wen insists he knows about the legendary codex. Shamo remains silent, his intense gaze fixed on the man standing before him.
Gujang Wen warns that the codex attracts dangerous demons and eventually brings death to its owner.
The dark-haired man describes the codex's legendary power to command ghosts and even revive the dead. Gujang Wen questions Shamo's resolve, while the blonde man suspects his companion's true motives.
Shamo asks why a wealthy and powerful man would still need the mysterious magical relic.
The black-haired man contemplates the legendary possibilities of the artifact while looking away solemnly.
Gujang Wen admits he seeks the relic to revive someone, prompting Shamo to ask who.
The blonde man reacts with visible shock upon hearing the name of the person mentioned.
Shamo expresses genuine confusion over the significance of the name mentioned by the man.
Stunned by the revelation, the blonde man stares ahead with a look of pure shock.
Gujang Wen asks about the blonde man's connection to Lu Yi and his reasons for revival.
Shamo declares that the person in question is more important to him than his life. Shamo reflects on their potential past life rivalry while Gujang Wen offers terms for the book.
The blonde man finds it strange that a stranger would prioritize him over their own life.
Shamo decides to maintain his distance until he can fully understand the bizarre situation.
Shamo refuses to surrender the precious book despite the life-threatening risks involved in keeping it.
Gujang Wen questions why Shamo fights fate, while the blonde man denies it was fate.
Standing alone, the dark-haired man confesses his personal responsibility for the death of his friend.
The blonde man reacts with shock as the dark-haired man reveals his hidden, painful secret.
A subordinate confirms Shamo's safety while Gujang Wen examines incomplete records of the codex.
Gujang Wen stands before a fireplace and draws a sword that clinks as it is unsheathed.
The unsheathed sword glows with a mysterious golden light in front of the warm fireplace.
A large white fox spirit emerges from the sword, hungrily demanding the legendary magical codex.
The ancient spirit claims its age allows it to recognize the powerful aura of the relic. Gujang Wen asks about the true extent of the legendary book's power with a skeptical expression.
The fox spirit explains the codex makes its owner a king but stops before finishing.
The spirit confirms the relic is the strongest tool for resurrecting the dead and restoring flesh.
The white fox spirit mocks Gujang Yan's fake apology and virtuous act to gain trust.
The spirit offers to help revive Lu Yi in exchange for more of the man's blood.
Gujang Wen grabs the spirit, noting that its previous soul summoning methods have all failed miserably.
The man threatens the spirit's existence, but it claims they share a single linked life.
Choking the spirit, Gujang Wen ignores its insults while demanding results for his past sacrifices.
Gujang Wen dismisses concerns about his grandfather, citing the personal cost of keeping the spirit alive. The gasping spirit insists that it was not the only one responsible for the tragic death.
The fox spirit desperately promises success this time, claiming it has seen the method work before.
The spirit warns that killing the codex's contractor will cause the powerful relic to vanish forever.
The white fox spirit suggests manipulating the boy's mind to gain free control over the codex.
Gujang Wen declares that his friend would never accept a revival bought with an innocent life.
The fox spirit drifts away as Gujang Wen stands alone in the dark, silent room.
The spirit complains about the man's constant whining and obsession with his deceased friend's morals. The fox spirit mocks the man for throwing his life away for someone who was forgotten.
The spirit finds it interesting that the man's rejection of the plan is based on morality.
The spirit laments the missed opportunity, expressing its deep disappointment as the dark scene concludes. The fox spirit tells Gujang Wen that they would be perfect partners if Lu Yi still existed.
A system notification launches the Rebirth mission series, starting with Shamo's causality thread of wishes. To gain full acceptance of the physical body, Shamo must complete his causality thread requirements.
The second Rebirth mission requires the blonde man to complete the legendary 100 Demons Codex.
The codex acts as a battery for his life, which he questions as it recharges with ghosts. Shamo worries about his inability to capture ghosts and considers using Gujang Wen as a resource.
The blonde man briefly considers revealing his true identity, but decides against the potential embarrassment and confusion.
Watching the dark-haired man leave, Shamo senses a dangerous madness lurking within his former friend's heart.
Recalling the man's confession about his death, Shamo decides to keep his own secrets hidden for now.
He searches through the original owner's belongings, hoping to find clues regarding his long-cherished personal wishes.
Shamo discovers family records revealing his parents' fatal accident and his younger brother's ongoing hospitalization.
Intending to visit the brother, he is interrupted by a ringing phone and a very loud ringtone. Manager Chan Donglai calls to inform Shamo that a wealthy boss is interested in sponsoring him.
The manager demands he look presentable for a meeting at the Haojue clubhouse at 8 tonight.
Suspecting the manager is linked to his causality thread, Shamo decides to investigate their secret scheme. Inside the neon-lit clubhouse, the manager berates the late-arriving Shamo in front of a wealthy guest.
The manager demands an apology for Mr. Huang, while the blonde man stands silently with his back.
Mr. Huang dismisses the rudeness as youthful cockiness and invites Shamo to sit and drink.
The man suggests a long conversation tonight, while Shamo stares back with an intense, cold gaze.
Outside, a pink-haired youth watches the clubhouse through binoculars while listening to a secret audio feed.
The observer alerts Gujang Wen, who sits silently in the backseat of the parked luxury vehicle. Gujang Wen observes that the blonde man is once again seeking out a wealthy and powerful sponsor.
Inside, Shamo refuses to drink and demands the man state his business immediately without any games. Mr. Huang boasts about his influence, claiming many famous stars owe their successful careers to his money.
The blonde man flatly rejects the offer and turns to leave, mocking the man's supposed big ride. The manager blocks the exit, warning Shamo about his debts and the threat of being blackballed.
Mr. Huang tells his associate to stay calm, finding the young man's stubborn nature to be interesting.
The man leans in close to whisper a taunt, but Shamo's expression remains dangerously calm and focused.
A sudden physical altercation erupts as Shamo moves to defend himself against the man's creepy advances.
Shamo punches Mr. Huang, telling him to go to hell as the manager reacts with pure horror.
The blonde man calls his opponent filthy scum while looking down at him with visible disgust and contempt.
Huang screams threats of blackballing him, but Shamo defiantly gestures and welcomes the man to try.
As Shamo walks away, the furious manager vows to ruin his career in the entertainment industry forever.
In a dark alleyway, the blonde man releases his bottled-up rage by stomping on a soda can.
He tries to maintain his public image when the police call to process his reward for bravery.
The officer asks him to claim the reward immediately as Gujang Wen watches from his car nearby.
The subordinate in the car is baffled by Xiaomo's inconsistent personality and his sudden fiery temper.
Gujang Wen remains unreadable as he watches the blonde man through the window of his luxury car.
Inside the club, the manager tries to apologize, but the guest cancels their project and slams the door. The manager rants about Shamo's ingratitude, regretting that he didn't let him die in the hospital. At a convenience store, Shamo collects his dinner while holding a police notice of non-prosecution.
Despite his reward, he learns he must still pay for government property and a wrecked luxury car.
He realizes his career is officially ruined as he is labeled a scammer monk on social media.
Shamo laments his choice to accept the flag, though he is glad the trending topic is free.
While distracted by his phone, the blonde man fails to notice a small boy spying on him. He looks at his device, unaware of the child watching him from the shadows of the alleyway.
The small boy quickly ducks back behind a wall as the man starts to walk away again.
A golden causality thread suddenly connects Shamo to the boy, signaling a critical mission has begun.
In a dark room, a mysterious figure mocks a restrained man for failing with the park clown. The figure cleans a bloody blade while mentioning that they must personally handle the target, Shamo.
Smirking while covered in blood, the man assures his caller that he never fails his missions. Hiding behind a corner, Zhao wonders where his target has gone while a trap waits. Shamo finds the boy and asks why he left the hospital by himself at night.
A terrifying scream echoes through the dark city sky from the top of the tall building.
While feeding Zhao, Shamo reflects on their distant relationship since he moved out years ago.
The blonde man questions how the child managed to escape the hospital, startling the young boy.
Shamo warns him of the danger while the boy sadly recalls a past tragic accident.
Zhao spots a familiar dinosaur toy tucked away inside an old wooden box on the floor.
Excitement fills the boy as he recognizes his toy, and Shamo confirms he kept it. Shamo realizes he saw this dinosaur in the original owner's memories regarding his deepest wishes.
He recalls a past argument where his father accused him of being scammed by a manager.
In the memory, a young Xiaozhao tried to comfort his angry brother with the dinosaur toy.
Shamo remembers throwing the toy in a rage, though he later secretly kept and moved it.
Permitting the boy to take the toy, Shamo reflects on his own lost younger sibling.
Surprised by the sudden kindness, Xiaozhao stares at his brother while Shamo looks back confused.
The boy notes his brother has become much gentler and tries to apologize for his observation.
Shamo comforts him, promising to spend more time together and eventually live with him again.
When Xiaozhao asks to stay the night, Shamo agrees despite having only one small bed. Standing with his toy, the boy's heart begins to pound loudly as a sudden pain strikes him.
Xiaozhao collapses in agony while Shamo panics and rushes to his brother's side.
The blonde man shouts in desperation as the young boy lies unconscious on the floor.
At the hospital, a patient named Liang begs for forgiveness for losing track of the boy.
Li explains his lapse in supervision while Shamo graciously accepts the apology to ease the tension.
Shamo discovers the boy found him by borrowing a phone and asking the doctor for information.
Admitting to recent nightmares, Zhao grips his brother's sleeve and asks him to stay longer. Gently patting the boy's head, Shamo asks if he is simply afraid of sleeping alone. The blonde man feels a deep sense of guilt for the original owner's neglect of the child.
Dr. Xu Yaowen reprimands Shamo for abandoning his responsibilities toward a child with a heart condition.
The doctor insists that Shamo must take full responsibility for his brother's well-being as his guardian. As Shamo attempts to ask for medical advice, the doctor glares at him with chilling intensity. The doctor kicks him out, but a passing nurse immediately recognizes the man as the celebrity. The nurse grabs him, promising she is a fan who just wants to discuss various hospital rumors. A group of nurses gossip about celebrity scandals, including rumors about Gujang Wen's supposedly nasty temper.
The nurses praise Shamo's character, while the blonde man laments his own perceived incompetence as a brother.
They urge him to visit more often, explaining that children need family and the doctor is just irritable. Shamo asks about the cause of the boy's nightmares and suggests he might need relaxants.
A heavy silence falls over the nurses as they exchange worried glances, confusing the blonde man.
One nurse urgently advises Shamo to transfer his brother to a different hospital as soon as possible. They explain they want to protect the child from a secret rumor circulating among the medical staff. A nurse begins recounting a mysterious incident that took place at the hospital 6 months ago. The staff reveals the hospital has become haunted, showing a dark hallway where a ghost lurks. The scene shifts to a promotional showcase featuring various series and reader reviews for other stories.
The nurses explain the haunting began after a nurse named Lin Mengjia vanished in the middle of the night.
They describe her disappearance during a shift where she left all her personal belongings and warm tea behind.
Police investigated her father's gambling debts, suspecting she fled, but no evidence was ever found.
Despite malfunctioning cameras, no footage ever showed her leaving the premises, suggesting she stayed inside.
An officer and a doctor discussed the lack of leads and what became a missing persons case.
The case went cold until patients began reporting terrifying, recurring nightmares about a blood-covered nurse. A new nurse on rounds encountered a strange figure in a uniform lurking within the dark hallway. The figure was identical to the missing woman, appearing drenched in blood before vanishing into the shadows.
The nurse explains that surveillance cameras captured nothing, prompting her terrified colleague to resign immediately. She notes that medical personnel find the coincidences undeniable, leading many patients to transfer away. Rumors suggest Lin Mangjia was murdered by a jealous lover who remains hidden in the ward.
In a flashback, a young nurse expresses deep anxiety about her upcoming late-night hospital shift.
As Dr. Gujang Wen passes by the nurses, his wallet accidentally falls onto the hospital floor.
The wallet lands open, clearly displaying a personal photograph of the missing woman, Lin Mangjia. A hand thuds down to cover the wallet, but the woman's photograph remains partially visible. The nurses recognize the photo, citing Dr. Zhu's abrasive temper and suspicious late-night hallway activities.
Dr. Zhu interrupts their gossip, sternly questioning if they have run out of hospital duties. They quickly lie about discussing patient recovery before rushing off to continue their rounds in fear.
Shamo walks away while feeling the weight of the doctor's intense and chilling gaze.
The stern doctor stands alone, watching the blonde man leave with a dark, unreadable expression.
Loud thunder wakes Shamo from asleep as lightning flashes outside the dark hospital room.
He shivers under the blankets, noticing a strange and unnatural drop in the room's temperature. Sitting up, he's confused to see the hospital lights have shifted to an eerie green.
The blonde man wonders why the lighting has changed as the atmosphere becomes increasingly heavy.
He decides to investigate the strange phenomenon and slowly moves to get out of bed. Looking down at the green-lit floor, he sees a small black hand reaching from the shadows.
Xiao Zhao crawls out from under the bed and tearfully identifies himself to his brother.
The trembling boy frantically tells his brother to hide because something dangerous is quickly approaching.
Clicking sounds echo through the room as Shamo crouches down to hide with his sibling. From their hiding spot, they see a pair of legs in red high heels walking past.
The brothers hold their breath in silence, wondering who is walking by while hiding their faces. Shamo feels a brief moment of relief as the clicking heels seemingly move further away.
A terrifying pale face with bulging eyes suddenly drops down from above to stare at them.
The inverted monster lets out a guttural growl while maintaining its unsettling position above the bed.
As a clawed hand reaches out, the 100 Demons Codex manifests to protect the blonde man. A glowing bird sits atop the codex as a dark whirlpool of energy begins to form. A demonic nurse with a jagged grin snatches Jia Zhao, dragging him into the swirling void.
Shamo reaches out in a desperate attempt to save his brother from the supernatural capture. He continues to fall through the bottomless darkness while screaming for the kidnapped boy in agony. His eyes snaps open as the vivid nightmare finally releases its hold on his panicked mind.
Shamo bolts upright in his bed, gasping for air while shouting for his younger brother. He calms himself, deciding to follow the nurse's advice and transfer his brother the next morning. He is suddenly struck with dread as he realizes the boy has actually disappeared from bed.
The blonde man searches every corner of the room, calling for his brother in growing panic. He wakes Li Jiang to explain that the child has vanished and is nowhere to be found.
Li Jiang asks if the boy went to the bathroom, but Xiamo insists he is missing.
Noting the door was previously closed, Li Jiang wonders if the child managed to go outside. The two men rush into the hallway, determined to find the boy before something happens.
The nurse at the station informs Shamo that she hasn't seen anyone leave the ward.
An elevator chime catches the blonde man's attention, making him realize the child used the lift.
He tells the others he will investigate the elevator while Li Jiang offers to get help.
Looking down the hallway, Shamo notices a small silhouette standing inside the open elevator doors.
He recognizes Xia Zhao holding a dinosaur toy and shouts for the child to wait up.
The elevator display shows the 6th floor, prompting Shamo to press the button for another lift.
Li Jiang catches the elevator just in time as it prepares to descend one floor down.
They discuss the possibility of the boy sleepwalking, though the blonde man feels a deep unease.
Sudden clanging noises erupt as the elevator car starts to shake and malfunction violently during transit.
The shaking stops and the doors slowly open to reveal a dark, smoke-filled, and derelict hallway. Shamo and Li Jiang stand in a dark, foggy hallway as the elevator rattles.
Shamo wonders why the hallway is cold and powerless while feeling a strange familiarity.
They notice the elevator remains on the 7th floor and choose to use the stairs.
Li Jiang explains they need a staff access card to bypass the exit security restrictions.
Searching for the boy, Shamo notices a hospital bed that was not there previously.
They approach the nurse's station to request a card but find a silent, seated figure.
The blonde man is visibly shaken by what he discovers at the medical service counter.
He realizes the seated nurse is a faceless mannequin, wondering where the real staff went.
Li Jiang calls for Shamo to look at the board on the nearby wall.
The man in the striped shirt identifies the roster schedule while gesturing toward the wall.
Shamo observes that every nurse photo is faceless, except for the missing Lin Mangjia.
He stares in shock as he recognizes the woman's face from the hospital rumors.
Li Jiang confirms her identity, noting her disappearance and the rumors of her being dead.
The man in the stripes suggests this is a prank, but Shamo remains deeply skeptical. Confirming his phone has no signal, Shamo realizes they are trapped in a ghost domain.
He stresses that finding the card is essential to ensuring Xia Zhao's safety from danger.
Li Jiang agrees with the plan as they prepare to search for the vital access card.
They enter a derelict room littered with scattered medical equipment and overturned blood-splattered furniture.
Shamo suggests they split up to cover more ground while searching the abandoned room. He opens a dusty drawer and is horrified to find blood-stained handcuffs and sharp surgical tools.
The blonde man notices a single desk that remains perfectly tidy amidst the surrounding chaos.
He deduces that someone must use this specific spot frequently, despite the building's decayed state.
Noticing a locked drawer, he believes it contains something of great importance to their escape.
Shamo uses pliers to break the lock and discovers a worklog hidden inside.
He identifies it as Lin Mengjia's worklog, noting it dates back to her disappearance.
He reads entries about a patient's condition and mentions of being reprimanded by Dr. Xu.
The log contains angry scribbles about Dr. Zhu's irritating nature and how everyone dislikes him.
Shamo notes that most of the entries concerning the doctor have been violently crossed out.
The blonde man focuses his gaze on something reflecting in the glass of the window. He spots a figure resembling Dr. Xu through the glass and wonders why he is here.
Shamo pursues the sighting, but the figure vanishes, leaving Li Jiang confused by his actions.
Shaking off the sighting, Shamo decides to return to the search for the access card.
Clanging noises echo through the room, making him wonder if a malevolent entity is stalking them.
He wonders if the missing nurse is the spirit responsible for the hospital's terrifying phenomena.
A sudden crash and a terrified scream from Li Jiang break the tense silence.
Li Jiang collapses in horror after discovering a body hanging inside one of the open lockers.
Shamo tries to calm him, explaining that the hanging figure is merely another mannequin.
Li Jiang is relieved, but Shamo observes the mannequin is identical to the first one.
The blonde man decides to ignore the mannequin and focuses back on the worklog. He notes the lack of records after February 26th, signaling the end of the logging.
Shamo discovers a sealed section in the back of the log that hides a secret.
He tears open the paper to find a staff access card and a written warning.
A blood-red message warns them not to touch the nurse, filling Shamo with dread.
Li Jiang notices something in the fake nurse's pocket and moves forward to investigate it.
Shamo shouts for him to wait, desperately warning him not to touch the mannequin.
Li Jiang pulls out a card reading death as the mannequin begins to bleed profusely.
The hanging mannequin reveals a single, large red eye in the center of its face.
The scene shifts to a promotional showcase featuring various series and reader reviews for other stories.
The monster lets out a sinister laugh as blood drips from its central, lidless red eye. Shamo realizes they have triggered something dangerous by ignoring the warning on the log.
Shamo urgently tells Li Jiang to run as the single-eyed monster breaks free from its restraints.
The blonde man reels in shock upon seeing the lidless, bloodshot eye of the towering medical monster.
Realizing another monster is blocking the exit, Shamo frantically calls for help to barricade the door.
Both men strain against the door as the entity outside exerts a terrifying amount of supernatural strength.
The blonde man spots a window as the monster crawls across the room like an apex predator. Shamo identifies the window as their only escape route from the rapidly approaching single-eyed horror.
They leap through the glass and dash down the dark corridor toward the word's emergency exit. The monsters pursue them with unnatural speed, their sinister laughter echoing through the cold, greenlit hallway.
Shamo notes their terrifying pace as they sprint toward the exit to avoid a lethal confrontation.
A lone hospital bed suddenly appears in the center of the hallway, blocking their path forward. A decaying, bandaged hand reaches from the bed and tightly grips the blonde man's forearm. Shamo recoils in disgust as a pale, hollow-eyed corpse lets out a raspy, taunting laugh. Desperate to escape, the blonde man kicks the obstacle toward the approaching nurses to clear a path.
He uses a heavy tool to shove the bed, shouting for the entities to get away.
The pursuing monsters stumble and lose their footing as the heavy hospital bed crashes into them.
Shamo uses the access card to bypass the security lock as they flee the hallway's dangers.
Li Jiang fears more threats in the stairwell, but Shamo insists they have no other choice.
The two men rush down the dark stairs while the silence of the hospital remains deeply unsettling.
Looking back, they see a single-eyed nurse watching them through the glass of the stairwell door.
Shamo pauses, confused as to why the monster has suddenly ceased its relentless high-speed pursuit.
Li Jiang points ahead in horror at a thick, bubbling mass of black sludge blocking the stairs.
The blonde man stares at the pulsating goo, wondering how they will proceed past the obstruction.
Somewhere far away, a notification rings out on a desk, signaling an urgent and troubling report. An assistant informs the dark-haired young master that Shamo has vanished and his tracker is offline.
The young master orders his team to keep monitoring while he prepares to head out immediately. Back in the hospital, Li Jiang breaks down in tears, desperately wishing the nightmare was a dream.
Shamo comforts his companion, promising that his past experiences will help them find a way out.
He explains they are trapped in a ghost domain, in a logical, alternate dimension separate from reality. The two men stand before the blocked path, contemplating the rules of the strange world they inhabit.
Shamo explains that defeating the domain's host is the only way to return to their world.
He realizes his original plan was flawed and focuses on keeping his terrified companion calm and functional.
Li Jiang finds a bloodied note warning that the hallways are dangerous when the lights turn red.
Shamo recognizes the handwriting before the note is violently scribbled over and vanishes into thin air.
He wonders if a malevolent force is actively working to prevent them from receiving any helpful warnings. They push through the door onto the 6th floor, which feels significantly more oppressive than the last.
The ward door is locked, and the lights suddenly shift to an ominous flashing red hue.
Clicking sounds resonate through the corridor as the red light signals the arrival of something truly dangerous.
Shamo recalls the warning and tells Liang they must find a room to hide in.
They frantically test the locked doors until Shamo finds one that yields to his desperate pull.
They slam the door shut, but Liang finds the lock is broken and will not engage. A tiny glowing creature begins pecking at the blonde man's head, causing him to shout in pain.
Shamo realizes the single ward rule means only one person can occupy a room for safety.
Liang decides to risk the hallway to find his own room despite the visible red danger.
As Liang leaves, the lock suddenly works, and Shamo hears heavy footsteps approaching his door.
The blonde man finds a different empty room and barely manages to shut the door in time. He hears a strange rattling sound coming from inside the dark room and grows instantly suspicious.
A gaunt zombie with a glowing red eye and bandages crawls out from beneath the hospital bed.
The gray-skinned monster lets out a guttural growl as it prepares to pounce on the blonde man.
Shamo narrowly avoids a set of sharp claws as the creature lunges across the cramped space.
The zombie slams against the door, trapping Shamo inside the room with a new ravenous breath.
Shamo kicks the bandaged zombie out of the ward, shouting for it to get out.
The monster sits in the hallway while metallic clicking noises echo through the dark, red-lit ward. A medical monster screams in agony, set against a promotional showcase for various manga series.
The anxious monster watches from the hallway as a door clicks shut, letting out a growl.
Shamo leans against the door, relieved the monster seemingly barged into the room directly opposite.
Heavy thudding and growling sounds continue outside as the blonde man remains hidden in the room.
A sinister nurse with a wide black grin peers through the glass while clicking sounds resonate.
The nurse presses her blood-stained face against the window, her frantic heartbeat thumping against the glass.
Shamo hides in a blind spot, covering his mouth to stay calm and remain unseen.
He watches through the glass as the medical monster walks past his door in the hallway. Relieved the threat has left, the blonde man struggles to control his intense, paralyzing physical trembling.
Chibi Shamo motivates himself to stop being pessimistic because his younger brother needs his help. Organizing his thoughts, Shamo considers if Lin Mangjia is the domain host he must seal.
He examines the 100 Demons Codex, frustrated that he has no idea how to use it. Shamo wonders if the glowing chick was warning him about the single occupancy rule for wards.
Recalling that domains reflect the host's interests, he decides to search the current room for clues.
Searching under the hospital bed, the blonde man discovers a diary hidden beneath the blood-stained mattress.
Shamo reads the diary of Bed 14, which expresses deep admiration for nurse Lin Mangjia.
He wonders if the patient was dating Lin Mangjia after reading about their sympathetic secret relationship.
A figure in a wheelchair with a red scarf appears behind him before vanishing into thin air. Startled by the sudden disappearance, the blonde man looks around the empty, dark room with suspicion.
He questions if the sighting was a hallucination while a promotional cinema banner appears below him.
Reading further, Shamo finds entries detailing Dr. Su's vile and bullying behavior toward Lin Mangjia.
He notes the diary and worklog are consistent, but he feels he is missing something.
Looking toward the door, Shamo reflects on the lack of direct clues regarding the nurse's disappearance.
The ward door suddenly clicks and swings open on its own, startling the blonde man into silence.
Noticing the hallway lights turn green, Shamo decides to leave and reunite with Liang.
As he walks past a dark doorway, two glowing red eyes watch him from the shadows.
Shamo calls out for Liang, telling him the lights are green and it is safe.
He enters an empty ward, finding no place for his companion to hide in the room. The blonde man grows anxious, hoping nothing bad has happened to his friend in the hospital.
The little bird chirps as a bandaged monster crawls along the ceiling directly above the man.
The medical horror lets out a deafening roar as it prepares to strike from its position.
Shamo tries to defend himself with a wrench but is horrified that it deals no damage.
He drops the tool and sprints away as the monster drops from the ceiling to pursue.
Shamo wonders if a monster is hiding in every ward while he narrowly avoids an attack.
Multiple medical monsters crawl through the hall as Shamo runs for his life from them. Reaching an intersection, he frantically considers which direction to take while the little bird follows him.
One of the monsters lets out a guttural growl, baring its sharp teeth at the escaping man.
The monster stops in the hallway, looking confused as it stares into an empty, dark corridor.
Several bandaged entities wander aimlessly through the hospital hallway while making unsettling, gurgling sounds of hunger. A hand covers Yamo's mouth as a man in a lab coat tells him to be quiet.
The blonde man stares in disbelief as he recognizes the doctor who suddenly appeared to save him. Dr. Shu tells him to get lost and offers to lead him to the exit immediately.
Shamo refuses to leave, asking the doctor if he has seen his brother or Liang.
Dr. Shu is shocked to hear Xiao Zhao is here as Shamo explains the situation.
The doctor falls silent, his expression unreadable as he processes the information about the missing patients.
Dr. Zhu insists on handling the rescue alone while Shamo questions his familiarity with the domain.
The blonde man asks why the doctor is here and how he knows the layout so well.
Shamo directly confronts Dr. Su, demanding to know what happened between him and Lin Mengjia.
Shamo confronts Dr. Su, demanding to know his involvement in Lin Mengjia's disappearance half a year ago.
Dr. Zhu tells him to shut the hell up, shouting that he has no idea what is happening.
A sudden rattling and cracking sound echoes from nearby, causing both men to stop their heated argument.
Dr. Shu shouts for Lin Mengjia, claiming to be right there, while Shamo watches in stunned silence.
Dr. Zhu dashes away, shouting for Mengjia to wait, as Shamo pursues him and demands an explanation.
Shamo sprints down the hallway after the doctor, yelling for him not to dare try and escape. Searching for the doctor, Shamo hears a door creak and finds Li Ziyang hiding in a ward.
Seeing Shamo, Li Ziyang is overwhelmed with relief and thanks goodness that his companion is finally safe.
Li Ziyang explains he has been searching everywhere since the ward doors opened when the lights turned green. He explains that he had to hide because monsters began pouring out of the rooms during his search.
Li Ziyang cries while they exchange notes, with both men realizing they found separate clues in the wards. A rhythmic squeaking sound of wheels echoes from the dark hallway, signaling the arrival of a new threat.
Shamo notes the lights aren't red yet but urges his companion to hide before the entity arrives. The blonde man hides behind the door, staring intently through the small glass window at the dark corridor.
A gaunt man with a large facial scar sits in a wheelchair, moving slowly through the hospital hallway.
Shamo watches the wheelchair-bound entity, wondering if this is the peculiar patient mentioned in the local clues.
Shamo is shocked to recognize the man, while Li Ziyang asks if he knows who he is.
Li Ziyang says he will never forget that scar from when he was first admitted as an inpatient.
He recalls a heavily wounded patient being rushed through the corridor on a stretcher by medical staff months ago. Li notes the man had a huge scar and was later placed in the ward at bed 14.
Shamo realizes bed 14 appeared in the worklog and diary he found earlier in the ward.
Shamo asks if the man crossed into this domain, but Li Ziyang expresses serious doubt about that. Li Ziyang reveals the patient in bed 14 died suddenly 6 months ago despite his condition seemingly improving.
Li shows him 2 diary pages found under a mattress, which Shamo recognizes as matching the handwriting.
Shamo reads that Dr. Su was using his status to coerce Nurse Lin Mengjia into a relationship.
A page drenched in blood screams that Dr. Zhu killed both the nurse and the diary's author. Looking at the bloodied note, Shamo realizes the person identified as the killer must be Dr. Shu. He theorizes that Dr. Zhu killed both his unrequited love and his romantic rival, the bed 14 patient.
Shamo wonders if the nurse's resentment created this domain and why Dr. Zhu would enter it.
He hears Dr. Zeus's voice outside the ward door speaking encouragingly to someone in the dark hallway nearby.
Peering out, Shamo sees Dr. Su standing before a shadowy figure, telling Mengjia not to be afraid.
A massive, chained nurse monster looms over Dr. Zhu, who affectionately calls the horrifying entity his girl.
Dr. Zhu holds the giant monster's hand, telling her to take it easy while she makes rattling sounds.
Shamo and Li Ziyang watch from the shadows as the doctor gently interacts with the massive beast. Dr. Zhu calls the name of the monster, which responds with a violent, chain-rattling motion of its limbs. The nurse monster lets out a deafening roar as it smashes through a wall, sending debris flying everywhere.
Dr. Zhu pleads with the massive entity to calm down and begs her not to hurt the others.
Shamo yells for Li to run toward the elevator while the monster continues its destructive, chained rampage.
Shamo points toward the emergency exit while the massive monster lets out a guttural sound and flings debris.
The blonde man falls to the ground, shouting as he is nearly caught in the monster's chaotic path.
Shamo shouts for Li while the nurse monster lunges forward with its massive dark clawed hands extended.
A tooth-filled abyss opens beneath Li Ziyang as the crumbling floor gives way to a massive creature. Li Ziyang cowers in terror as a giant swirling mouth of sharp teeth prepares to consume him whole.
The monster snaps its jaws shut, and Shamo is horrified to see his companion has completely vanished.
Dr. Zhu grabs Shamo, frantically demanding to know what he is planning to do to the nurse. The blonde man stares in shock at the unhinged doctor while the monster continues to lash out nearby.
Shamo shouts for his friend as the darkness of the elevator shaft remains silent and deeply unsettling.
A massive creature with many legs and glowing red eyes emerges from the dark depths of the shaft.
The enormous, multi-limbed beast opens its mouth, revealing rows of jagged teeth as it prepares to strike again.
The young master orders a total lockdown, hoping his team can secure the domain before it is too late.
The massive nurse monster rattles its chains while its red eyes glow with a menacing light.
Dr. Zhu calls out to Mengjia as the chained beast moves further away from the men.
Dr. Zhu pleads for the monster to calm down while Shamo watches him with intense suspicion. Shamo looks down the dark hallway with a look of pure shock and mounting terror. The scarred patient from bed 14 sits silently in his wheelchair at the corridor's darkened end.
Shamo peeks from a corner while the doctor continues to follow the pained, groaning entity. The human face on the monster's side appears to be in immense pain while making pain sounds.
A massive roar from the monster shakes the entire hallway, pushing the 2 men backward. Dr. Shu chases the monster while Shamo grabs him, demanding to know what is happening here.
Shamo refuses to let go, stating his brother is trapped and he demands to know everything.
Shamo tells the doctor he's unwanted before punching him for trying to escape the conversation.
Shamo shouts that the doctor brought the monster and interfered with his attempt to save lives.
Shamo declares that the doctor is entirely at fault for the death of his friend Lee.
Dr. Zhu collapses in the hallway, frantically insisting that the horrifying nurse entity is not a monster.
Dr. Shu continues his desperate denial about Mengjia while Shamo tries to restrain his aggressive movements.
Shamo punches the doctor again, ordering him to finally open his eyes and face the truth.
Shamo argues the creature isn't human and notes Li Jiyang only died because of his help.
Shamo blames both himself and the doctor for the tragic death of his companion Li Jian.
Shamo insults the doctor's professionalism and demands answers about his knowledge of the supernatural hospital. Dr. Zhu sobs, claiming he knows nothing about her transformation, but still believes she can be saved.
Shamo asks about their relationship while realizing the distraught doctor is completely ignoring his words.
Shamo notices a black briefcase on the floor and wonders why the doctor brought it. While the doctor remains hunched over in guilt, Shamo moves closer to inspect the abandoned briefcase.
Shamo finds various spiritual items inside the briefcase, questioning the doctor's desperate state of mind.
Dr. Zhu explains that he actually found his way into this hospital domain 6 months ago.
The doctor describes how he never stopped searching for Mengjia after her sudden and mysterious disappearance.
Dr. Shu explains his search for Mengjia while Shamo questions the exact nature of their relationship.
The doctor remains silent for a moment, appearing completely broken by the weight of his memories.
Dr. Shu reveals they were dating and recalls her acting strangely when she asked him for company. Dr. Shu recounts how emergency surgery prevented him from meeting her, leading to her tragic disappearance.